Okay, good evening, everybody. We will be starting in about 4 minutes or so. We'll just wait to see some other people come in. This is actually being live streamed at the moment.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening, Doctor. How are you?
I'm good. Hi, Dr. Safwa. How
Hello.
how are you all?
Pretty good.
Nice seeing you. Dr. Ibrahim, hello. Welcome.
Hello, how are you? Glad to be here.
I'm good. Thank you for joining.
Thank you so much.
Just a moment. We have about 4 more minutes, so we'll get started in a while. Where are you from, Dr. Ibrahim?
I'm from Iran.
Iran. I saw you studied in Malaysia.
Yes, of course, yeah. I studied
Oh,
in UPM.
oh, Serdang. So
Yes,
your
Serdang UPM.
doctoral was from Malaysia.
No, my master was from Malaysia. My doctor was from Iran.
I see.
Um,
Nice.
Thank you so much. I had great memory over there.
Really? Yeah, I hope you enjoyed
Yes, great.
yourself here.
Yeah, yeah, great time.
Martin, let us know when we can start. Then I'll introduce both the speakers. Probably, what say you, in 2 more minutes?
2 minutes, yes, that's fine.
Yeah, I think so.
How are you doing, Martin? Are you still in the Philippines?
No, no, I'm back in England now.
Oh, okay. Hope you enjoy your holidays.
It went too quickly.
Holidays always, they fly.
Okay, I think we can start now.
Just a minute. I'm just sending some reminders to the students.
I think also Dr. Ibrahim is fixing his background, so let's give it a minute
Uh,
or two.
okay, sure. Mm. Martin, this is live on YouTube as well. Okay. So we're good to start. The session is being recorded. Right. So good evening from Malaysia. I'm pleased to welcome all of you to the webinar titled Focusing on Feedback and Optimizing Results, Collaborative Voices on Research, Theory and Practice. So this webinar will explore contemporary research and practice in educational feedback, featuring collaborative discussions of emerging practices and how digital and dialogic feedback approaches can optimize student learning, engagement, and assessment experiences. Participants will also gain insight into and future research projects in the evolving area of educational practice. I'm pleased to welcome the speakers for today's session. Dr. Safwa Abdulaziz, who is a passionate educator, and she has spent 24 plus years as an educational leader, English instructor, e-learning trainer, and educational technologist. She trains educators as an Apple professional learning specialist on effectively integrating technology into the classroom and holds a PhD in educational technology and design and has developed an AI-powered app for educators. Welcome, Dr. Safwa. Allow me to introduce our second speaker, Dr. Ibrahim Dozante, who is an educator, researcher, and academic leader in language education and applied linguistics. His work focuses on teaching, research development, quality assurance, risk management, and gender equality in education, with an emphasis on improving educational effectiveness through evidence-based practice. So over to you, Dr. Safwa and Dr. Ibrahim. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Darwin. Really happy to be here. Why don't everyone let me know where you're from? Because I know we've advertised this particular session across the region. I advertised it in the UAE, in Oman, where myself and Dr. Ibrahim are, and even in the US. So let us know in the chat where you're joining us from. And if it's evening, good evening. If it's morning, good morning. And thank you and welcome. Dr. Ibrahim, are you ready?
Yeah, of course. More than
Okay.
ready.
So what we'll do is we'll just get started really quickly here. I'll share my screen. If at any time we're having any technical difficulties, Dr. Ibrahim, maybe initially you can kind of take a look in the chat. Where are people from? Where are people joining from?
From Oman, from Saudi Arabia,
Ooh, Saudi Arabia.
United Arab Emirates. Yeah,
Okay,
they're
so
joining
we're
from different places. Yeah,
different places. Thank you for
Indonesia.
Indonesia. Okay. Well, welcome, warm welcome to all of you. Thank you for joining us. Just sit back. We have our passion to share tonight. Again, like Dr. Darwin said, this is focusing on feedback and optimizing results with myself, Dr. Safwa, and Dr. Ibrahim. We had a very nice, warm introduction by Dr. Darwin, and I'll go ahead and I'll share our agenda for today. So we're going to talk about focusing on feedback in education, right? We're talking about the feedback that writing feedback, audio feedback, that kind of thing. So we're going to be focusing on that today. We're going to talk about the background, a few real world problems, some contemporary research that we're involved in, emerging practices, and future research and collaboration. So I hope you are ready to head into it with us. And so right now, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to go ahead and start and tell you what was the real world problem that led me to focus on feedback, that made me start understanding that feedback had a larger role than I maybe understood as a practitioner, as a practitioner who had been in education for so many years. Feedback started to raise its head and make me understand that it was really something. And this goes back to my time in the Emirates. I spent about 14 years in the UAE in different Emirates. If you're from the Emirates, say hello to Russell Kaima in Dubai and Sharjah for me. But I spent in those years, there was a point where I was educating young Emirati girls that were graduating, and they were looking forward to joining universities, and they were writing, and their writing was very good, but they kept making the same mistakes. And so knowing that they were very passionate and knowing that they were very aggressive about their education, I asked them, well, what is the problem? I know that you guys you have high standards and, high standards of excellence. What is it? And they said, Miss, they said, we need to understand the feedback that you're giving us. We need you to explain it more, because, imagine with writing, you're just circling things and giving brief notes. And they hinted to me, we need more than that. We need more than the scribbles and the underlining and the highlighting and even the small notes. We need more than that to actually change our writing. And that was the first time that feedback became really an issue for me. And I started looking at it in research and in my own research. And my research led me to even develop an AI-powered app that deals with feedback. But back to this situation at hand, what were the things? What was the issue and the problem? And it was that when I started looking at feedback and research and in my own research, the marking that teachers were doing, it was competing with their teaching time. Some teachers were spending as much time marking or even more time marking than they were teaching. Can you imagine? So marking and trying to give that feedback, and that was an issue. So there was a time issue. There was also a lap issue. And what I mean by a lap issue was that the feedback, when looking in research, and again, looking in my own research, feedback was arriving to students late, and it was arriving to students in this generic way. It wasn't landing in the right place. And often at the time that it did arrive, it didn't change learning because it was too late. So this lap was a real issue when it came to feedback. Another part of feedback that became a focus for me was scaling and understanding that you want to give more personalized feedback, and the time constraints was giving more personalized feedback. And so this is my story along with my real world problem that started making me really understand that feedback was important, and feedback was an important part of the learning process. So now I'm going to hand it over to my colleague, Dr. Ibrahim, who's going to talk to you about how his experience and how we've been thinking about feedback backwards. Dr. Ibrahim.
Thank you so much, Doctor. First of all, it's a pleasure to be here. Hopefully, we will get something out of this. Everybody gets something out of this meeting. Dr. Safa clearly and brilliantly mentioned the problem with practitioners, problem all the time they are facing. The time, the lab, as she mentioned, everything properly and clearly. But don't worry, doctor, we are here. We got your back. So the problem comes from actually the research, comes from the theories. 3 decades of research, there is always one quiet assumption: feedback is one way delivery. All the time when we think about the feedback, all the time either teacher gives feedback to the learner, again, learner is the receiver and the receiver is important, or we have peer feedback, the peer gives feedback to another peer and the learner and the receiver is important. There are two blind spots here actually. The first one is the giver. The person or the student who produces feedback is understudied, under-theorized. So this is something important to consider. The second thing actually is coming from, exactly addressing what Dr. Safa mentioned, and it's coming from actually, in my culture, it's coming from history. In Iranian proverb, we always say that if you want to build, make they use this word. Build is a good student. You need to have 10 teachers focusing on one student. And if you look at the great historical figures, you will understand that they are like this. And all of them, they had many teachers focusing on one student. We don't want many teachers focusing on one student. At least we need to have one teacher focusing on one student. This is something that it's very important. So the problem is coming from thinking about feedback backwards, which is about the second one that Dr. Safa says. Dr. Safa says about the learner. The learners are different. Really, the learners are different because not every person is the same as the other person. Why do we have gender equality? Why we have quality education? Why we have different types of feedbacks even? Why we have different multiple intelligences and different types of this and that? Because learners are different. You cannot feed them with the same thing. The same feedback cannot be delivered to everybody. It doesn't land the same for everybody, and it doesn't work for everybody. So what we are going to do is to consider this as one whole problem, which has two halves of one problem. The first one is about theory. The second one is about scalability and the tool. So what we want to do, Dr. Safa and I want to do, is to rebuild the model, to redefine the feedback as reciprocal and situated, to fix the theory in order to be able to back up and work for us in the scalability and the practice that we will do with the tool. So at the same time, this part, which is actually the expertise of Dr. Safa, is to build the tool to deliver personalized feedback at scale. For us, for Dr. Safa and I, feedback that we will support our claims and our arguments with a study that we have done. For us, feedback is reciprocal, situated, and delivered at scale. If in order for us to get optimized result, we need to understand that if we have all of them at once, we can get optimized result that we are looking for. So we have one problem and two solutions. Back to you, Doctor.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Ibrahim. And so now we're going to transition just a little bit, and we're going to head to, after talking about feedback being reciprocal, situated, and delivered at scale, now we want to talk about contemporary research and emerging practices and what we're doing exactly. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to share my research on screencast feedback. And if you've never heard of screencast feedback, it is multimodal. And this screencast feedback uses these tools. You need screen recording where you have the student assignment. You need markup where you are actually marking on the screen. You need narration where you're speaking through the mistakes, and you need a webcam so the student can see you. This is the academic and research definition of screencast feedback. And I started, especially with those girls that I talked about in the beginning, I started trialing this. I didn't even know it was called screencast feedback. I called it digitized feedback. But I started giving this unpacked feedback to my students, and it led me to do a more in-depth research on that. And so I conducted a study, and it was based and supported by the feedback triangle by Yang and Carles. And this comprehensive framework has to do with the 3 dimensions of feedback that they claim are the cognitive dimension, the structural dimension, and the social affective dimension. In the cognitive dimension, this is the part of the feedback that is the subject. What are you giving feedback on? Are you giving feedback on writing? Are you giving feedback on physics? What are you giving feedback on? So that's the cognitive dimension of the feedback. And then there's the structural dimension. How do you organize that feedback? How is it arranged? Are you writing, giving that feedback, or are you using multimodal tools for that feedback? And the last domain of the feedback triangle is the social affective dimension that Yang Carles really, really focuses on. And this is the way that the students relate to the teacher, the way they relate to the peers, the way they read the social part of that feedback, and the emotional response to feedback and the assessment, because there is an emotional response. It makes us feel a certain way when we receive feedback as students. Students feel a certain way, teachers feel a certain way giving it, but students have an emotional response to feedback and the assessment. And that was the understudy, the framework for my screencast feedback study. And that study went over 3 different regions. It was, we had individuals in the US, in the UAE, and in the UK. And those teachers were using screencast feedback, and I decided to interview them and do a reflection survey to really unpack what was happening when they were giving screencast feedback. And I'm just going to share this. The research was immense, and there were about 6 themes, very large themes that came out of my research, but I'm going to share just 2 of them. Theme number 5 was when these teachers began to share their screencast feedback experiences, they talked about how they used it, and they talked about it simplified learning, period. It saved time. It enhanced psychological safety. And what does that mean? They reported that their students started talking about how they wanted to make more mistakes because they knew they were going to get feedback that was going to unpack it and really help them understand how to correct those mistakes. So students said that they were willing and wanted to make as many mistakes as possible so that they can get that feedback. So this screencast feedback was really working for the students. It has structural motivations. Students used it for referencing. They could watch the videos again and again. Students were uptaking and correcting the mistakes. They were sharing those videos with friends, their parents. They were sharing the videos across. And of course, it was a part of the relationship building with their teachers. Teachers reported that students said they felt they're spending time with them. Only made a video, but because that video was accessible and was important, and it was an important type of feedback, the students felt that way. Another theme was that teachers actually fully believed that that type of feedback had this positive influence on students' overall understanding, and of course, on their relationships that they were building with their students. So there was a communication aspect to the feedback, that all of these things brought out, the image of the iceberg with so much underneath. And that's what it is when it comes to feedback. So let's take a look again at feedback at scale. That research that I was just talking about led me to develop an AI app. And we had that time issue, we had that lap issue, and we had that scale issue. But now as a practitioner and as a developer, I was able to solve those problems. Say hello to Screenback.ai, which is a personalized feedback at scale tool. And what it did was it took that time issue, and we used AI grading to save time by reading handwritten and digital work. And then the lap issue was solved because teachers were freed. They had less marking time, and they had more time to give meaningful feedback. And of course, the results, the uptake issue was solved. And now more students were reached, and there was a higher chance of uptake. So by adding in and changing that tool, as Dr. Ibrahim was saying, there we were having something different. We were able to solve some of those major problems. I'm going to hand it back over to Dr. Ibrahim. Dr. Ibrahim?
Thank you so much. It was perfect, Doctor. Thank you so much. So again, what was the problem that Dr. Safa solved? It was the problem for the learner, not the giver. So what we will focus here, Dr. Safa and I, is to fix the problem for both. Okay, so if we go to the next slide, we will understand that we had 2 blind spots, the giver and also the learner. So what did we do? Dr. Safa provided the tool. So we needed to back up with a study to go and integrate and provide something to support the idea of the research and reciprocal scaffolding. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay.
Can everyone mute, please? Yes.
Okay. So first of all, I needed to mention the names of the contributors to the project also. I'm obliged to mention, actually. One of my colleagues who contributed the most was Ms. Sheikha Al-Balushi, that I need to mention her name, and also Dr. Darwish Al-Kalbani, Ms. Rawda Al-Kalbani, and Ms. Halima Al-Badi. So in order to appreciate their contribution to the study, what we did was, actually, I think almost everybody knows about Toastmaster speaking competition. So we take this example and sample and made it into a study to answer and address the goals and objectives that we had in our minds to solve and to reach. So we provided a gamified role-based oral feedback study throughout 10-week semester. Our semester was 10 weeks, so we had 3 temporal sequences. For the first 2 weeks, actually, we gave them time for all the education, instruction, anything that we needed to give to students to understand what is going on. And for example, some of the information that we gave to students were that we wanted to let them know that they are going to be divided into 2 groups, 3 roles, but 2 groups. Everybody was supposed to speak for 4 weeks, every session, every day for 5 days. And then they are going to be divided into 2 groups. One of them was called Grammar Masters. They were supposed to monitor grammar and accuracy, and with the fixed roles. It means that whoever is in this group will not be changed to other groups or rotating roles. So we had Grammar Masters, and we had Ichi word catchers. Grammar Masters were supposed to monitor grammar and accuracy, and Ichi word catcher were supposed to monitor fluency and fillers. We did one thing here, actually. We said that for Ichi word catchers, it's fine if they are not that good in grammar, because it's something that everybody can see. So easily they can understand hesitation sound, fillers, repetition, bywords, and this and that. So it's something easy to distinguish. But for Grammar Master, we said that we need to have the most proficient one, because we should get the good results out of this, because they need to understand first, recognize and identify the mistakes, and then they need to give feedback. So we did this one, and the level of a student was B1. They were supposed to be B1, actually. So we had 2 weeks. The first 2 weeks, we gave all the information and instruction to them to train them for the intervention that we had. So at the beginning, at the start of week 2, we had all the instruments that we needed, 3 questionnaires and surveys, and also 1 CEFR rubric for assessing speaking proficiency of the students. So we had 2 groups, 65 students, experimental and control group. And also they were assessed according to the CEFR rubric out of 50. And 5 components out of 50. The instructors were supposed to give them marks in 3 phases. T1 was the baseline, week 2 test, and then after 4 weeks of intervention, they were supposed to give marks again at immediate post intervention, and we gave them after week 6 4 weeks of washout to know what will happen afterwards about the retention. So we had 4-week delayed post test also in order to test the retention that they got, to know the difference, because immediacy is a factor here that we need to consider. then it comes to learning. So after even giving marks, we had double blind rating, and to make sure that the marks are fine. Everybody was supposed to talk, so they were just rolled, assigned to grammar master for grammar and HE word catchers for fluency and fillers. If we go to the next slide, I would explain everything. So the focus actually was to produce a theory, mid-range theory of gamified reciprocal scaffolding. This is really important. Feedback giver effect. So we used actually 5 theories combined together: sociocultural, cognitive load, noticing hypothesis, and the previous one. The first one. Yeah. So we combined all the studies, the previous one. We combined all the theories to come out with 2 important constructs. One of them was feedback, FG, feedback giver internalization effect, and the other one was cognitive load reversal. These 2 were phenomena. I cannot explain everything here, but I will explain the effects to understand what happened. These 2 constructs coming out of 5 theories combined together, integrated together. So in order for our study to be valid, we started the same. So we tested them, non-significant difference at the starting point. If you go to the next slide, you would understand that according to the rubric, the marking that we had for the speaking proficiency, at the pre-test, they were almost the same. Experimental group, 28.6 out of 50, and control group, 27.5 out of 50. Again, almost the same. But after 4 weeks of intervention, something phenomenon happened. So if you go to post-test, you will understand that the progress was really good, really fantastic. 34.5, and for the control group was 28. That's it. But the difference was really high, 6.5. And the delayed post-test that we had, it got something strange, something that we needed to check and check again. So the experimental group, after 10 weeks, 4 weeks of washout, 4 weeks of delay, it raised again to 39.2, and the control group, intervention stopped. I need to say that, but the teaching was going on. The teaching was going on for 4 more weeks, but still the difference is really high. In the next slide, you can see easily that you can see the effect kept growing after intervention stopped, and it is a sustainable growth. But for the control group that we didn't do the intervention, is almost flat. They had the progress, but very minimal. In the next slide, also, I will explain something interesting for you. If we want to know in percentage, it means that the experimental group outperformed approximately 86% of the control group at the delayed assessment. This is something important. What does it mean? It means that the post-test and the delayed test, between these 2, something important happened. Whether there is a sleeper effect that we couldn't understand, or there is something about reciprocal scaffolding framework, which is important, we need to consider. In the next one, I will tell you that we couldn't understand everything because the sampling was not enough. It was not well powered. And also, we couldn't understand something that I need to mention here. As I told you, we had the grammar masters group, more proficient, and HE word catchers who were a little lower in level of proficiency, speaking proficiency. We expected grammar masters to gain more on grammar, but it didn't happen. Yeah, they grew. All of them grew together steadily, all of them. The numbers that I showed you were means, were average for all the group. It didn't happen. The explanation that even the Ichi word catchers, they gained more on grammar. That's really interesting. What we could come up with as explanation was that at the beginning we started to choose the best ones, the most proficient ones for the grammar masters. So their level and the materials to teach them were at the B1 level. Yani they were not enough room for them to progress. This is something important. But for each word catcher, which were not that much proficient in grammar, they had better progress and better gain on grammar. What I want to say is the progress is there, but according to the ability matched, we cannot mention. We cannot mention. The most important thing here is that the givers get confidence that they can be, they acted like instructors. We were surprised. They acted like they were instructors. They were so confident in finding, they had the habit of finding mistakes from even instructors. They reported this, that they said that this and that, because we are not native speakers. We make mistakes. That's normal for non-native teachers to make some grammatical mistakes and correct yourselves. So they used to correct. They said that this problem happened. It was really interesting. What I want to say here is there is an honest limitation here, but reciprocal scaffolding is working up to now, up to the this moment that we are talking. But what we need to do is to match ability, to understand properly, to know what is going on. And the second thing is to power the roles and have G-power analysis better, to have good population, good participants that we need. The sampling should be strong enough for the research. Back to you, Doctor.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Ibrahim. Amazing, amazing research and amazing information that's coming out of this theory and how we go about looking at feedback. So let's now just jump into future research and collaboration and talk about where the tool that I was referring to meets theory. So we have my tool, we're talking about an AI feedback tool where we can give feedback at scale. And we have Dr. Ibrahim talking about reciprocal and situated design, where feedback, it builds learners. So what we're trying to do is a study in the Omani context that is culturally responsive and equitable. Our proposed study is a screencasting plus instant AI feedback tested inside of a gender responsive framework across Oman. So that is the future research that we are working on. Dr. Ibrahim, can you go ahead and help me out with this, sharing this information here?
Inshallah. Yeah, of course. It's my pleasure. Dr. Safa and I are proposing a framework that feedback should be reciprocal, should be multimodal, and should be scalable, instant, and also responsive, gender responsive, and culturally attuned. What we want to do is to put reciprocal situated feedback together with AI casting tools to provide personalized feedback that works for everybody and every learner at a scale. So this is actually what we are going to do. In the next slide, there is one thing that we need to be really careful when we talk about AI. All the time, the researchers, the practitioners, they are worried about the side effects. And this is what we are worried about. AI feedback should build learners, not make them dependent. This is something really, because we want them to be critical thinkers. If they depend on AI for everything, this is something that will be fatal for us. So the risk is epistemic delegation. We don't want them to outsource their judgment to AI or machine or whatever it comes later. We want them to think themselves. We want them to be the owner and the agent and the actors and the producers, and the owners of the judgment, the producers, everything. They should be responsible for whatever they want to do. They want to take the responsibility. So what we will do for the next study is that we will provide two moderators for us. First, feedback literacy, and then self-regulated learning. We have everything about self-regulated learning is a very established concept in the research. So to determine, these two moderators will determine whether AI feedback builds agency or erodes it. This is something that we need to be really careful about.
Okay. So what's next for us? Our joint Oman study with AI screencasting feedback and agenda responsive framework. We would have pre-registration open materials for this, and we are open and have an invitation to collaborate. If you are listening to our quality education and practice, our SDG4 appeal, and if this appeals to you, or you think this is something that would work in your region or in your classrooms, here is an open invitation to collaborate. We're looking to start this study immediately, and we're looking for teachers who want to get in front of this conversation about feedback, about AI, and about more responsive and culturally responsive education and teaching and learning. So at this particular point, we are now going to take some questions for you. Any questions that you may have. Dr. Ibrahim, I'm not sure if you have any last words to say. I'm giving the call out for people to join us. Any last words that you'd like to share? I'm going to come off sharing, and I will also put our emails inside of the chat for you all while Dr. Ibrahim is sharing his last bits. Go ahead, Dr. Ibrahim.
Okay, thank you so much. For feedback, in my opinion, the most important thing is, as you mentioned, scalability is very important. Also, personalization. This is something, when we say situated, it doesn't mean situated in culture. It doesn't mean even situated in gender. It's situated in characteristics of the person. And in order for us to be really, really focused, to provide, personalized, situated, feedback, I think we don't have any other solution rather than using AI. And this is something that we need to implement, whether we like it or not. But I think it's the best thing to use AI and the benefits of AI and make everything better. But it should be studied in order to minimize the effect, the side effects, and the negative points, in order to minimize the problems that students and learners may suffer or may face in their studies.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ibrahim. I have a question. We have a Thant. Is that Mr. or Mrs. Thant? Who is looking definitely, we would love to hear from you. We have your our emails there. Please shoot me an email so that we can have a bigger conversation about that. We'd love to. There's a question about, can Malaysia join? We want to collaborate. We want to see where this would work and with who. I'm just trying to also ask questions like, what part of this resonated with you? I know when I discovered that feedback was important, it really made me think about myself as a learner, not just as an instructor. Did any parts of this resonate with any of you? As far as feedback is concerned and giving feedback is concerned, or how do you give feedback to your learners? We'd love to hear from anyone. Okay. Emmanuel Bathula, please also shoot me an email. Very much interested in connecting with you because we're here. Let me know where in Oman you are. We're getting some interest in the chat there. Anyone can come off the mic or just give your key takeaways. We would love to hear you. We saved this extra time just to make sure we gave people time to connect with us and to share. Emmanuel, go ahead.
Thank you, doctors, for the meticulous effort on giving the feedback. Actually, we all teach, but we rarely give feedback. Sometimes we have two reasons. One, as a teacher, oh, I don't have enough time because I have so much syllabus to complete, so we should complete it. And later we correct the paper and give the scores, and we don't give the feedback why he got less or more.
Right.
But when the students go for the competitive exam, every question there is a feedback. So your insights today really touches that feedback is very important. Even if it is a short conversation, later it would lead us for better learning. If
Yes.
not what you taught, if you don't take feedback, you go again in the same way. You repeat the same way. So I really appreciate your project is very important, and let me be a part of it when it demands. So thank you both of you for a wonderful time.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you,
You're
brother.
welcome.
Thank you, brother.
For sure, Emmanuel, I can relate to that. Time, as I did my studies and investigating with teachers, and they really regretted the fact that they didn't have time. It wasn't that teachers don't want to give feedback. In fact, they were all saying, I want to explain to a student how to do it, but time and pressures and this field is, someone asked me the other day, will AI take over your job? I said, when? And because teachers are still under pressure and even more pressure, right? So now you really see that feedback, especially in the age of AI, is diminishing. People really don't have time because they have to learn new things, they have to do other things, and the pressures are there. So we need research that's going to point us in the direction of how we can have. I've been recently thinking about deeper learning. We want deeper learning for our students. So how can we deepen that learning? They need that feedback from us, and so we need to try to figure that out. So definitely. Anyone else want to come off the mic and open your camera if you like or not, and give your key takeaways? We have still just a few minutes. And like I said, definitely, Emmanuel, I'm waiting to hear from you. Please take and copy our emails there. We will absolutely respond to you. Like I said from the beginning, this is our passion. We're so excited about it. We're so excited. It made me develop an app that I want to see. I want to see something different happening for students. Prasanna, go ahead. You can unmute. We can't hear you yet. Let me see. Can you try to unmute? And Martin, if you're still there, if you're able to unmute Prasanna. I don't have the hosting tools, unfortunately, Prasanna.
Prasanna should be able to unmute herself.
She's trying. Sometimes we're on smaller devices, bigger devices where we can't find the mute button. While we're waiting for Prasanna, do we have anyone else that'd like to come off the mic or share? Prasanna, we're definitely waiting for you. And if you're unable to mute, then you can also put your question in the chat, but we're definitely looking to hear. I see some friends of mine in the audience. Miss Banani.
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine, Miss Banani, coming from UAE.
Yeah,
We've been working together for a very long time.
yes, it was really very interesting to watch you create this app. And I mean, we need to use it in our classroom and apply and see, because this will really benefit the students and help them develop their skills. And as Dr. Ibrahim said, that AI should not, bring down our cognitive skills. It should enhance our cognitive skills at the same time. And I'm sure this feedback will help the student community in every aspect. Thank you so
Absolutely.
much.
Thank you so much,
Thank
Ms.
you so
Banani. Sorry to
much.
put you on the spot.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Really great to hear from all of you. Thank you, Mr. Shah Jahan. Mr. Shah Jahan said it was
Thank you,
really
brother.
informative. Thank you very much. Really, really appreciate everyone showing up this evening after hours for some of you. And yes, so Prasanna was unable to mute, but she said feedback is important for teachers to modify. You know, it's important when you want to modify that student level, and you want to, as Emmanuel said, take that student to the next level and give them, you know, instruction. Because when you see that they are still stuck, you want to give them the tools to become unstuck, right? So definitely thank you for that. Well, I know that everyone has had a long day. If you're an educator, you've had a long day. I'm just going to assume that. And if we don't have any more questions, again, definitely, this was live streamed. It's on YouTube. Definitely check back in with us. Certainly stay connected with us. And at the end of the day, we really, really hope that our research reaches you, whatever the results are, and that it makes an impact. Dr. Ibrahim?
Thank you so much for everything, Dr. Safa, GlobalNxt University. Thank you for invitation. I really enjoyed it. Thank you, the audience. I really enjoyed Brother Emmanuel, Persona, all others. You know, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And I really enjoyed being here. And hopefully they enjoyed too, you know, just shared our humble findings and humble knowledge. And thank you so much.
Okay, and without further ado, you guys have a good rest of the night. And if you're like us, where your weekend starts on Thursday, have a great weekend.
Thank you. Thank you
Bye
so
for
much.
now. Thank
Thank you.
you.
Have a great time.